All right, we have now entered day 3 of Donald Trump's White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, holding briefings not for the legacy press, but for a very carefully selected circle of MAGA influencers. And that actually includes a guy named Chak Posobiec, the guy who helped spread the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. Now, I'm going to play a couple of clips. Of course, my general view is include independent media in the press corps, give new media people a seat. The problem, of course, with the implementation is that they have turned this new media press briefing into a sort of overt shelf of sycophants and suckups. And you'll get a sense of it just from listening to this.
And today, and I appreciate the administration making yourself available and making it available to us and all of our followers. And I understand that you're going to be continuing these. And I think it's fantastic that really have everybody come in and be able to do this. One of the things that's been troubling me and has actually even affected me over the last 24 hours is the rise of violence that we've seen from elements of the far left.
Yes, he's troubled by this.
Starting with things like Luigi Maggioni, these support for these unhuman organizations like MS-13, Tren de Aragua.
Now, understand that none of that is real. None of that is happening.
And even, of course, the assassination attempts on President Trump, Thomas Matthew Crooks, and Ryan Routh, as well as numerous incidents against anyone who owns a Tesla, apparently. You don't really see the Democrats opposing these things. You see them in many cases.
You actually do.
Cases either co-signing it or giving a wink and nod to it at the same time that they will be demanding that we follow due process for anyone who actually is a hardened criminal or some of the worst of the worst. What is the administration doing, DOJ-wise or FBI-wise, to combat this rise in violence that we're seeing?
What a question.
It's a great question, Jack, and I absolutely agree with the premise of your question, which I usually don't when I take questions at a podium. But certainly you're right. We have seen a rise in political violence that stems from the left, dating back to the Black Lives Matter movement, which the left and the Democrats...
So she goes on to give her just completely unhinged answer. And of course, it's completely untrue that there is a problem with left-wing political violence in the United States. The political violence in the United States for decades has been overwhelmingly on the right. But the big story here is that the Trump White House is creating this fake secondary press corps with the idea that they are giving more independent voices a say. But it's just a bunch of loyalists there to lob softballs and spin conspiracies and then post clips for clout. There's no journalism, pushback, real questions, or anything other than propaganda here. Now, there was another moment where another content creator, Dom Luker, asked whether maybe we need to be investigating Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton, like use the presidency power to go after political opponents. And instead of shutting it down as a completely un-American idea, Karoline Leavitt says she finds it to be a refreshing question.
Thank you for giving me the honor to be able to ask a question and provide some transparency for the American people. Speaking of,
yes, we need here. We're about to get transparency, folks. OK, are you ready?
I wanted to reference the election integrity. A lot of people in America are questioning if there's any possibility that we could see further investigations for anyone that could have violated our election integrity rights. And more importantly, so is there any possibility for names such as Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton to ever just possibly get investigated for any of these, questions from the American people, any of the wrongdoings they might have done?
Well, it's refreshing to actually hear a question on election integrity because
she seems to have a page specifically about this.
Legacy media would never ask such a question. They're so out of touch with where the American people are on this issue. And Americans, you're absolutely right, want to have trust in our electoral system. Without free and fair elections,
All right, you get it. She finds it refreshing to ask about investigating Hillary and Obama. A sitting press secretary openly praising the idea of political retribution, because that's what this is. None of this is about the law. This is not about justice or due process. It's spectacle and revenge. And the people in the room are there not to report, they're there to amplify. And this is what you get when the presidency becomes a content farm, a White House briefing room replaced by a MAGA influencer meet and greet. And if you're thinking this seems really familiar, we've seen this from authoritarian regimes all over the world. You build your own media bubble, You isolate your leader from scrutiny in every way that you can. You flood the zone with loyalists who will say anything to stay in the inner circle. And the key point is that Trump's team isn't even trying to look legitimate anymore. They're telling you the only press we're interested in is we will reluctantly allow the corporate press into the press briefing room, and then we will allow gleefully this kind of worship, repeat everything we say type MAGA influencer into these secondary briefings. That's all they're willing to engage with at this point in time, and it's terrifying. Now, on the bonus show today, the Senate has rejected a bipartisan deal to undo Trump's tariffs. U.S. and Ukraine have signed a critical minerals deal, and we'll talk about how this relates to the Russia-Ukraine war. And unfortunately for Trump, young men are already souring on him. By how much and why? All of those stories and more on today's bonus show. Get instant access by signing up at joinpacman.com. I'll see you then. Remember to get on my newsletter by emailing info@davidpacman.com. I'll be doing a Substack Live with Aaron Rupar next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can get it on Substack, which is where we do our newsletter. So I'll see you on the bonus show, and I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. Do you ever have one of those nights where you just are really struggling to fall asleep? You're lying there, mind is racing. Next time, give Beam Dream Powder a try. It's quite simply delicious hot cocoa with melatonin. Melatonin is scientifically proven to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, without the side effects you can get with antihistamines or prescription drugs, including next-day grogginess. Countless people's nights have been changed for the better after discovering that melatonin comes in this calming, tasty hot chocolate with 0 grams of sugar, only 15 calories. My favorite Beam Dream flavor is cinnamon cocoa, but it comes in sea salt caramel or caramel. That's a whole other conversation. Brownie batter, vanilla chai, and others. Beam Dream is easy to add to your nighttime routine. Mix it into your hot water or milk, froth, and enjoy before bed. Go to shopbeam.com/Pacman. Use the code Pacman for 40% off. The link is in the description.